Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and kick off. You might be noticing that one of our speakers is not here with us at the moment. So I will just say Brian Thorpe, he's the CEO of Wealth Tender. He'll be joining us probably in about 25 minutes. So we'll welcome him in whenever he joins, but we'll kick off and we'll get this rolling. So you are here because you saw the marketing of this webinar and you were intrigued. Hopefully that is why you're here today and you're here to learn. But today is going to be a little bit of a different style webinar than you're probably used to if you've attended any of my past webinars or Wealth Tender's past webinars. We really want to keep this slide light and like actual practical demo heavy. So we will get in. We have some really cool things to show you, some technology, AI. We're going to build out an actual like landing page with reviews brought in. And we're really going to show you why we have led this with, is your website sleeping on the job? Here's the thing. 2026, we all know, has brought a ton of changes in our industry, especially with AI. And one area in particular that we're really excited about at Wealth Tender is the website space and what's happening with the way people search for advisors in 2026. It's all shifted. So we've partnered up with Wealth Reach, and they've built something like unlike anything that you've seen before, unless you were on the last webinar I did with Wealth Reach. But it is truly innovative and it's really what you need, right? And I think moving forward, most websites that are not built on these now AI native platforms like David and Mike have built at Wealth Reach, you're just really not going to be getting results from your website, right? So it's more of a static, sleepy website versus something that's alive and that's actually working in the background and doing things for you and updating itself and moving content around and leveraging your reviews and just creating a living, breathing website organism that actually goes to work for you. So I'm joined by David DeSell and Mike Barrasso. They are the geniuses behind Wealth Reach. David, could you jump in and maybe quickly introduce yourself and then Mike to follow?
No, I appreciate that. And one thing you made mention is, with the website, actually, generating prospects for you and whatnot. And one of the things that we realized when we've been on demos with advisors and we ask, how many clients have you gotten from your website over the last month? And common response is, last month, I've never gotten a client through my website. So part of what we want to do today is educate you all on the fact that your website does not have to be an online brochure that's static, but can actually be an asset to the firm. But just brief background, I was in your shoes for all the folks attending. I was an advisor for 7 years. I've been in consulting for the last 8 years, really helping with organic growth. And through all that, and in partnership with Mike, Wealth Reach was born, where we now have tech to support the growth initiatives in this space. But Mike.
Perfect. Yeah, Diana, thanks for having us. Everybody, thanks for being here. My name's Mike Barrasso. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Wealth Reach. Originally started my career in software sales, worked my way up in a couple different startups and helped build growth and sales teams at the last one I was at. 3 years ago, joined the family wealth management firm, which is in Long Island, New York. When I joined the firm, we're at around 150 million under management, give or take. We're up over 400 million today, and that's all in the last 3 years and all organic growth. One of there were really two high leverage pieces that we implemented at the firm that I could attribute a lot of that growth to. One being reviews, and the second one was overhauling our website and getting leads from people finding us on Google and now even AI. So this is a really exciting webinar for me to be a part of as well, because it's hitting on what actually worked at my family's firm.
I love it. I mean, this is peer-to-peer learning, right? Like you both sat in their position and Mike still continuing to this day while also running Wealth Reach, which is super impressive. So you both touched on things I do want to go maybe a little bit deeper on before we open up and share our screen and actually get into the platform, the technology, so we can show advisors how this is working. I think, you set some stage here, David, right? The big problem right now is that most advisors you talk to about their website are saying that they're not really generating any business. They're not generating prospects from their website. Maybe their website needs a refresh. Like, what else would you say here? Like, what is the concept here behind, your website being asleep and how we can use AI now moving forward to change that?
Well, It's asleep, yes, but it's also, frankly, invisible. And when I say invisible, what I mean is unless someone is looking up your firm specifically, most websites are not ranking at all. So when prospects are asking questions to AI, you're not being referenced. When prospects are Googling things that you do, not your name, but things that you do, you're not ranking. And I'm willing to bet that the majority of folks on this webinar, you're here, so I assume that you're interested in, redoing your site to make sure you're actually turning it into an asset to the firm. But we audited 30,000 advisor websites, and the common theme was it was invisible online, and I'll get to what that means in a moment. But we audited, the legacy providers, right, the templated sites, and we also audited the agency sites, the 20, 50, $100,000 builds, which are beautiful, but they had the same technical foundational issues. So things that we'll get into today is like meta description, schema markup, proper header structures, the things behind the scenes that you wouldn't even see. If those things are not in place, it renders you invisible online. And kind of the flow that we've theorized is when you do your website, you approve the design, compliance approves the copy and the content, but no one approved the technical foundation. So time and time again, when we audit an advisor's website, you see completely missing schema markup, completely missing or duplicate meta descriptions, and improper header structure, which essentially what that means is the crawlers online, the Googles, the ChatGPTs, the Claudes, et cetera, they don't know what your website is about because you don't have the things in place that they look for when looking to rank a site. And then also, if your site is a template of a template of a template, so to speak, they're not pulling that up at all. So that's the problem that we're solving right now is basically giving beautiful custom, technically sound websites for legacy provider pricing. And where technology is today, we've been able to do that.
One thing to add on that too, there's a second problem that factors in a big way there too, is a lot of these legacy providers, they have templated content that you could push out on their site. They say it's SEO optimized, compliance approved content, blog posts, things like that, market commentary to push out onto your site. The issue is that you're pushing the same blog post as the guy down the street. When you're doing that, that content will never rank. It has no chance of ranking. I don't care if it's SEO optimized and it has the proper header structure, but if you're putting the same content out on your site as one or two other firms, it'll never rank, especially in ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other AI platforms.
And
Such a good. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, and I want you to think a little bit differently about ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, et cetera, where, people are going into there and asking, questions and you're probably using it yourself for certain things. And, search on Google just in general has gone down as more people migrate to AI. However, think of these platforms because even think for yourself, in your own experience where when ChatGPT or Claude tells you something, you're pretty close, if not already there, in just believing it and taking it at face value. So start viewing these large language models as your new COIs, because what we're noticing is when people come from these platforms onto your calendar, they keep the meeting and they're very likely to move forward. They are serious because their friend Claude recommended them, right? Just like their CPA would, just like their neighbor would, just like their colleague would. And they view these large language models as having access to everything on the internet, which by and large they do. So they trust its judgment. So start thinking of these as the new COIs that you need to be relevant and credible, just like you would human COIs that you've thought about up to this point.
I've never heard it put like that before, and I think that is such a helpful way to put it because we do focus so much on COI relationships, and as we should continue fostering those real human connections. But now you have this, AI human, if you will, that we talk to like a human that's also making these recommendations. I want to ask a question because I think it's a good question to maybe wrap this up, or maybe I'm going to make an assumption here. But would you say that even if you have a website on a legacy platform, and let's say it's really pretty, and let's say your legacy platform provider goes and adds schema and maximizes some of the content, puts reviews on it, isn't there still a problem there, David and Mike? Because it's not just a one-time thing, right? You have to continuously update the site. And if it's all built on this legacy platform, that is more manual than what you all have built, which is automated. Am I correct in making that assumption?
Yeah, Mike, can you speak to that?
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the things we see with a lot of legacy provider sites and even some marketing firm like more premium websites is that they sit stale for a long time. And one of the things we'll get into is that our SEO agent is constantly looking at and monitoring how are your pages doing? How are you ranking right now? And from there, it's making adjustments. So, for example, let's say you have a page that's dedicated towards retirement planning. That page might sit dormant for a year or two. And then all of a sudden, our SEO agent's going to pick up on the fact that, hey, this page is starting to drop in rankings. We should probably refresh it. The SEO agent then will go and redraft the page, optimized for SEO, of course. All the advisor needs to do is hit approve and push it to the website. So it's constant optimization like that and making sure we're staying on top of how Google and AI is ranking us is super important. AI in particular works a lot more quickly than traditional Google SEO. So we see specific like page changes into what ChatGPT or Claude is citing on a weekly to a monthly basis instead of like a 6 to a 12-month basis. So
Mhm.
it's never been as important as it is today to constantly make sure that your website's adapting and evolving to the search environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for responding to that, Mike. So before we move on, I do want to just get to know our audience a little bit better. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and it's always helpful just to understand like who do we have in our audience right now? Where do you feel your website stands? So I just launched a poll. It should have popped up on your screen. We'll leave it open for the next minute or so as we chat through something else I wanted to return back to before we get into the demo. And then I promise we're getting into the demo. Mike, you help run a wealth management firm. You guys have had crazy organic growth, completely organic. You are such a perfect example of what I hope other financial advisory firms follow. So I'd love to chat through maybe a little bit more. When people ask you, how do you grow your firm so quickly? What do you usually point to? Maybe you can talk through a little bit of that experience there.
Yeah, definitely. And I one of the top things, and I say it to everybody, is gathering reviews, and we did that through Wealth Tender. When I first joined the firm, David was actually coaching my dad on organic growth specifically. David had contributed to doubling the firm's AUM from 70 to 150, so we're already growing. But one of the things that my dad was always really hesitant to do was to gather reviews.
Mm,
There were a couple different reasons why, but one of the biggest ones was like, what if someone leaves me a bad review?
mm,
Um, I pushed him. David pushed him. It took the both of us to pushing him. And if you go and ask him today, he will tell you that is one of the best things he's ever done for the practice. Not just from a growth standpoint, because it has significantly increased our conversions. There is a lot less convincing that we need to do when we get in front of prospects because they already trust us and they read those reviews. They feel like they almost know us. But
mhm,
also, it gave my dad a lot of confidence. He didn't realize how much he was actually helping people And even when he has a bad day now, I make him go back to those reviews because we sent out that review link and it was a sweat for the first hour or two. And all of a sudden they started rolling in. And it wasn't like, hey, Jerry was great. It was paragraphs of heartfelt praise. So
Mm.
those are the types of things that like not only help you with your growth and as an advisor and help you convert more prospects and also get found online, which it definitely does, but it also helps you talk about when you get that question, how do you help me? You could answer it with proof. Reviews have been so massive. And then what we've seen, one of the first things I did when I joined the firm as well is overhaul the website. So plugged those reviews we collected into the website. Not only did our website begin to rank better and we actually started to get leads through Google, but also the website converted so much better because, like I said, people trusted us coming in the door.
What's
Thank you. Oh, go
what's
ahead, David.
interesting, if I may, Diana, can
Yeah.
I share my screen quickly? I just want to show two quick things.
Absolutely. I was just going to quickly share the poll back. Most of you have reported that your website looks good, but it's mostly static. Many of you have said it needs a refresh, it's sleeping on the job, and very few of you have said it's actively helping you grow. So even if your website looks aesthetically pleasing, there's so much more happening on the back end now that you need to be focused on that tools like Wealth Reach, Wealth Tender are here to help you with. So I will stop sharing. And then, yes, and actually, we were going to open it up to the demo portion anyway. So feel free to take it away.
Cool. So I'm and Mike, you'll do show a couple, two, three websites just to show design capabilities and whatnot, and then go into how they integrate the wealth tender reviews with the landing pages with the tracked. But I ran two things. I'll show one, stop sharing, and then pull up the other one. But what was interesting to me was so Jerry has I want to say 40 something reviews on Google. He has 40 something reviews on Wealth Tender. And when I went into this is Claude and said, show me Jerry Barrasso, financial advisor reviews. What was interesting is I saw Wealth Tender, Wealth Tender, Wealth Tender, the website, he's listed on Garrett, Wealth Tender, but it didn't once reference his Google reviews, which was interesting. And then the other search that I did in anticipation of this was just because the office is in Hop Hog, New York, right on Long Island. So the
Pronounced
other
it right.
search what
That's
was
a fun
that?
name.
Yeah, you pronounced it right. Most people don't.
Well, I've been working with you for a while, dude. Uh, but the other interesting thing was I said, I'm looking for an advisor in Hop Hog, New York that is fee only. Who should I meet with? And this is what AI is doing. It's giving you a specific person.
Yeah.
It's not giving you it's not giving you a list of options. It's saying, hey, based on that criteria, right? Which for this person who fee only is important and they live in Hop Hog, like now they reach out to Jerry, so this stuff is real. And I also I believe that this is still very much a blue ocean. And for those of you who are into AI and have been toying around with it, recognize that we're in our own echo chamber. Like the average advisor, and Mike shared a good example with me on the ride back from the airport last night, where it's like a tip of the iceberg, like the tip of the iceberg that we hang around with, we see on LinkedIn, all that stuff. Like we think, oh, this is moving quickly, everyone's doing this. But underneath the surface, there's a ton of advisors who aren't doing anything. Their website isn't just sleeping on the job, they're sleeping on the job, so to speak. So I still think that there's a blue ocean opportunity here to capitalize on this and create a strong foothold in your area.
1000%. Thanks for showing that, David. And we'll definitely talk more, when Brian hops on about the difference between having Google reviews and having reviews on Wealth Tender. And you just kind of saw in real time one of the big reasons we advocate and we built Wealth Tender to make sure you're not just putting reviews on Google. They need to be multiplied across directories, across your website, across other platforms where you can have them compliantly, of course. And we make that really easy. For any of you who don't know what WellTender does, that's one of our biggest specialties and our focus. We also have a directory where we host your reviews. So you've got a page and another channel where people can go and book a call with you or look at your website or look at your information and kind of scope you out, if you will. So Mike, feel free to share screen and let's actually get into the demo portion. And thanks everyone who's on the line and kind of went through some of the educational foundation setting with us. I think it's important we do that before we show. Yeah. So we told first, now we're going to show. Go ahead, Mike.
Let's do it. All right. So I'm just going to start on our firm's website. This is a great example of a WealthReach website. Everything from an SEO foundational perspective is 100% dialed in, from the header structure to the schema markup to all these technical things that we need to rank. Our websites, we could either build a completely custom website from scratch based on your styling, your branding, and no one website will look like the other. We never use templates. Or I know there were a couple people that said they have a good looking website, it's just not ranking. We could also clone your existing website and just fix all of that stuff on the back end. So then you're technically optimized to rank. We could see everything is completely custom. We use custom components that make your website look beautiful and modern. And of course, SEO optimized. From a copy perspective, it's really important to have a deep amount of copy to rank for SEO and for AI SEO. ChatGPT, Google, Claude, they all love having a deep amount of copy on your website. So one thing to think through if your pages are kind of shallow. What you'll also notice here is we pull in our WealthTender reviews. So we have everything listed right on the home page for our clients here. We also have a dedicated page for our client testimonials that have our listed out WealthTender reviews as well. One of the things we could also do from an SEO perspective is build out location-based landing pages. So we could target all the cities, towns that are important in your area and customize them for your specific area. So for example, there's a town near us that they have a very big medical community. There's a huge hospital, huge university that's all focused on medical. We have a landing page that's targeted at that specific town for medical professionals. So we could get really dialed in with exactly who we're targeting and based on who your ideal client is. Just to show you a couple other examples, this is another client website that we just launched. Obviously looks completely different from the United website. It's just a good example of how much our sites actually differ. One cool thing I'll point out on here as well is Ryan has a ton of video content. What we were able to do is pull in all of his video content, create landing pages that are focused on those content, and blog posts that summarize that content so it could actually rank. One more example of a site, much different than the other ones. This one's more family office type structure, but obviously just want to show you the differentiation that comes along with the sites that we build.
And one thing to just make note of, I don't know what your all experience has been in building, getting your website built, but all this is done inside of a month. This isn't a 3, 4, 5 month process. Where technology is today, we're able to, barring any massive revisions, of course, we're able to spin these around really quickly. And Mike, forgive me if I'm mistaken because I'm not on the fulfillment side, but typically it's a couple hours of the advisor's time, if that, and then obviously just their review behind the scenes. But the onboarding itself is, I think, an hour, right?
Yeah, it's about an hour. For some, it's even shorter than that. Some clients that come to us know exactly what they want and they just want us to create it and also consult on SEO and making sure everything's optimized. We also have clients that have no idea what they want. And that's where we coach them through the process. We're understanding who your ideal client is, the services you provide, and then we could help you and create all of the copy and dial everything in for you, but still only about an hour long process.
So I'd love to just take a quick pause on this. This is beautiful, by the way, and 1 month is amazing, right? I think most advisors and anyone who's out there building a website knows that's like the most painstaking process of getting your business brand off the ground. Okay, so it looks like Brian is on with us. So Brian, if you want to come on camera, you're welcome to. And I think this is the perfect time. First off, welcome. But I think this is the perfect time to bring you in because you'd showed the wealth tender reviews, Mike, as those have been sort of pulled in. Maybe we could just talk really quickly about how that works, but also like why wouldn't an advisor want to just import their Google reviews? I obviously know the answer to this, but I'd love for maybe Brian to jump in and talk through it as well.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, go for it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me jump on. And Diana, just to clarify, so specifically the risks of Google reviews and how to do it compliantly, it looks like that's where we're going.
Pretty much. We've talked a little bit about already, like when you search for an advisor, what AI is bringing into the picture, and we don't see any Google reviews, even on tools like Gemini that are owned by Google, which is, quite crazy to me. But, for example, here, advisors who are only on Google right now with their reviews, they're in their mind, the process is, well, let me just grab these reviews from Google and put them on my website, right? But there's a problem there that I know that they're facing, and that's why Wealth Tender was born, which is the compliance process. So I was hoping you could talk through that real quick.
Absolutely. And what we've seen, and Mike and the team at United Financial Planning have done a phenomenal job of this, taking the reviews that they're gathering, getting them published on their website with all of the appropriate disclosures, and of course the tools from Wealth Tender to embed reviews on a website, incorporate those disclosures. That's very different from Google. And to your point, Diana, we see a lot of advisor websites that are uh, likely to get dinged when the SEC examiners or the state regulator comes out and sees testimonial tools publishing Google reviews on a website without those disclosures. So we really want to be the belts and suspenders, provide that compliance first approach to mitigate that risk. And then exactly to your point, those Google reviews aren't working as effectively across AI search tools, partly for the reason that many Google reviews are attributable to the name of a business, so the advisory firm. And of course, we know that over 80% of people, even if they get a referral to a prospect gets a referral to an advisor, they're going out and they want to look up reviews about the advisor. And much more often, they're putting in the name of the advisor, the individual name, as opposed to the firm name. And so with the reviews imported from Google to Wealth Tender, they're going to show up, they're going to have all of the appropriate disclosures. And now, whether that prospect's looking directly on Wealth Tender or in Google or in any AI search tool for that individual advisor, those reviews, if they were imported from Google, are now going to be amplified to not just show up for the firm name, but also show up for the individuals. And as you mentioned, show up much more prolifically because they aren't being limited or constrained like Google Business Profiles, which blocks tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity from being able to access the full scope of those reviews and put them into AI generated answers.
Nobody better than you to say all of that. Thank you, Brian. Mike, I'm sorry to have cut you off, but if you did want to go back and screen share and show anything else, I do have a poll for the audience on where you stand with your reviews, but we'll let you open up screen share again and finish walking us through. And welcome, Brian. Brian is the CEO of Wealth Tender. He is the genius behind Wealth Tender, and he is super passionate about reviews. He's taught me a lot. So we're happy to have you here, Brian.
And
Thank you.
I will say too, just so Mike and I can let out a smile that we've been holding back. My 10-month-old baby is a little extra vocal right now, so we've been trying to not be distracted, but hopefully you can't hear her, but we can hear her on the side. But Mike, before we go into this, Colin Meeks had a question in the chat. Does LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram help with rankings in general, slash, I added that, but slash if it's linked to the site?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I definitely recommend having them linked to the site. One of the things I think is really high value is creating content on the website, like a blog post, and then from there creating a separate post on the social platforms that is differentiated a bit from the blog post and posting it out there. AI specifically loves LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn is a great place to post. Just make sure you're not posting the exact same thing that you do on your website.
Sweet.
Great tip. Thank you, Mike.
Perfect. So I'll pop into here. So this is WealthReach's content engine. So this is what makes your site turn into really a living, breathing site. We call it Attract. So what's important about this, and we mentioned it earlier, is that there are a lot of these legacy providers out there that are putting out templated content, and they're claiming it's SEO and AEO optimized. The issue is when you're putting out the same content as the guy down the street, that content's never going to rank. So what we were able to do with WealthReach is create completely custom blog posts, market commentary, and updates to the website directly through the platform here. So as an example, I'm going to say, give me some content ideas based on my wealth tender reviews. So now it's going to pull in my wealth tender reviews. It could see we have 46 reviews with a 5-star rating. It's going and it's asking ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity about our firm to see where we're popping up. And we could see all of these. It's going and looking at the competitive landscape. Now it's searching through my client reviews a little bit more, and it's pulling in a bunch of content about our reviews. So we're seeing it's mentioned eight plus times integrated CPA and CFP under one roof. It's a big thing our clients like to hit on in their reviews. So we also get a kind of an aggregation of what are most of our reviews talking about. So then from here, it gave me some content ideas. Let's see. I think we're going to go with 3. So now I'm going to tell the AI draft 3.
These content ideas are just like excellent, marketing and positioning ideas as well. Like, what are you going to lead with on your prospecting calls or in your prospecting, activities, marketing brochures? Well, this is literally the voice of your client. So that's probably indicative of how you're going to attract more clients like that person.
100%.
Well, and Mike, can you too go in? Because Diana, that's 100% correct. But there's also the content suggestion is based on not just anecdotal data from clients, but also SEO data. Mike, can you speak to that?
Yeah, 100%. So if I come back up here, we could see everything that it's pulling in. So it's going and looking at things like what do we already have on the website so we're not creating duplicate content. It's looking at where we're ranking today, how our competitors are ranking. It's looking at what questions people are asking around you and close to your firm. It's taking all of this SEO data and combining that with the review data and saying this is the content that we should write. These are the keywords that we should target, and these are the AI citations we should target. So the cool thing is it's taking in real data. It's not just kind of relying on the AI slop type of thing. It's pulling in real data that actually matters. One thing you might have saw here as well is it did a compliance check quick on what it wanted to create, and it also did research on financial data. So we have integrations with Morningstar, Wall Street Journal, and a couple other financial providers. So it's always pulling in real-time financial data. And what if it's pulling in any of that real-time financial data, it's actually citing the data as well. So we could see from there, it built out the full post start to finish. It made it beautiful, put it in our website styling. And then if I scroll down, let's see, it actually pulled in our wealth tender reviews that are relevant to this post as well. So we could see it pulled in these 3 reviews. Everything on the back end is optimized from an SEO standpoint as well. So we're using that review schema in these posts. We're also pulling in things like FAQs. So handled the full post start to finish for us here.
And Mike, 2 things. And I know this is a demo environment, so I'm not sure if you can do it. But can you show this page in the full window? Because obviously it's smushed down for the preview.
Yes, I can.
And then also there were some hyperlinks in there. Can you make mention of the importance of internal linking as well?
Yes. It would be this one. Perfect. So that's the full page,
Nice.
not squished.
Yeah.
You mentioned the internal linking, and this is really, really important. So SEO and AEO, one of the biggest things that a lot of these crawlers care about is how all of our pages on our site are connecting to all of the other pages. We've talked to a ton of SEO agencies, as well as marketing professionals. And one of the biggest pain points they constantly tell us is having to deal with internal linking. You constantly have to keep on top of, these are all the posts I have. These are the posts that are related to each other. This is how I need to link all of these posts together. The AI is the context of all of the posts and all of the pages on your website. So it's smart enough to automatically add in these internal links for you. So we could see it added them automatically for me here. And what's nice about this too, obviously it matches our firm's branding. You could come in here and you could add custom fonts, you could add custom colors, you could tweak this to look and feel however you'd like. And then you could even go along with the AI and modify these in real time. So I could say to the AI, hey, change this section, make this section longer, make this section better. So the AI can make any tweaks you'd like to this content. From there, all you need to do is hit approve and launch, and it'll actually run through another compliance scan. So our writing agent is trained on the SEC marketing rule and FIN regulations. We have another agent as a judge that's just a second layer of safety, scans that content, make sure everything is aligned and there's nothing that's close. And then from there, you could post it directly to your website. If I come back to the SEO agent page, this is important. This is our SEO agent that lives within your site and is running every single day. It's basically doing a full audit of your website every single day. It's looking at how you guys are currently ranking, where your competitors are ranking. It's looking at if you're coming up in any AI platforms. It's looking at what keywords you're ranking for, how you're trending up, down, or sideways, or new keywords that you found. Basically taking the full job of an SEO agency and it's doing it on a daily basis. From there, the nice thing too is it's not on you to have to go in here and figure out what content to create. The AI will automatically populate this opportunities column with content recommendations. All you need to do is drag it over to the drafting field. It'll draft the content in real time for you. You come in here, you review the content, you make sure everything looks good, and then from there you could launch it.
And
So simple.
Colin Meeks, thanks for your question. So he asked, how would this work with my compliance office? He's with LPL, and this goes for anyone that has outside compliance. Let's say support, not restrictions, but support. Um, so with LPL specifically, we're looking to streamline that a little bit more. Where we're at the corporate level, Colin, but as you can probably imagine, that's a long process. So that's not live yet. But for now, effectively, all you would do is export the content that we create for you in a PDF. And I forget the name of their compliance portal, but you just upload it like you upload anything else for approval. They give you the thumbs up, and then you just click launch inside of WealthReach. So it's the workaround is a download, upload, and then approve of the content.
Super easy. Thank you for that, David. I'm going to share back screen here, unless there was anything else, Mike, you wanted to showcase.
I covered it all. Thank you, Diana.
Beautiful. Okay. I have one more poll that I'd love to get launched for everybody. And this one was really returning back to the conversation we had about reviews. So where are your reviews or your testimonials currently showing up? You have them on Google? Are you in Wealth Tender? Your website, social media? Maybe you're not using reviews yet. And if you choose that, I would be really curious what's holding you back. You might be with one of the few states that still haven't given the full green light, although that's changing pretty rapidly. Or you might have some fear like Mike's dad had about, I don't want a bad review. And then you finally launch your strategy and all of a sudden you're flooded with all these incredible testimonials from your clients that build a lot of confidence for you. And that's a little bit of kind of the imposter syndrome a lot of business owners deal with, where we all deal with it. I don't care who you are or how powerful you are. So I'll give another maybe 10 seconds or so before I wrap this one up, and then we'll share back the results with everyone. All right. So here's what we've got. Good portion of you who have reviews on Google only. Hopefully you walk away from this session today with the goal of trying to duplicate those reviews, but also make them compliant. WealthTender is here to help you do just that. And our website is, our directory, I should say, the reviews on our directory is often cited in AI tools. Like almost always, you're going to see WealthTender there. So we don't just talk the talk, we truly walk the walk. You can look it up for yourself. Some of you have WealthTender reviews. Awesome. Thanks for being on today. Some of you just have them on your website, social, and then there's a good portion of you not using reviews yet. So again, if you want to chime in the chat and let us know what's going on with that, we'd love to maybe talk through it with you. Brian, anything you would add or say here from a WealthTender standpoint?
Well, I think the big thing is, of course, trying to get over the hump for those that aren't yet using them. If you do have any concerns, happy to serve as a sounding board, no pressure, WealthTender or otherwise, just to, whether it's a compliance consideration that you need some help with or whatever the case may be. I do think, and I guess maybe, well, it was multiple choice, so it looks like nobody utilizing reviews on social media yet. And that's definitely something that is a capability that can be done compliantly that we would highly recommend. And we've created a tool to help facilitate that. Because again, kudos to the advisors that have the reviews. You're already setting yourself apart from 90% who don't. But now to really incorporate them into social media and into other marketing activities can be even more exponentially powerful as well.
Agreed. And sorry, I shouldn't have written Google only. It should have just said Google, but that's okay. It's good to hear from you all. Okay, so we do have another question in the chat, and really that opens us up to our live Q&A portion. So if you want to see anything else on the WealthReach platform, if you want us to dig a little bit deeper into WealthTender and the testimonial process and the directory, now is the time. Feel free to speak up. Feel free to comment in the chat box. We'd also be happy to take you off and make you a panelist so you can talk with us. I'm going to leave some of these takeaways on the screen, but I'm going to add one. Probably one of my favorites that I heard today that came from you, David, which was start thinking of these LLMs as your new COIs. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. David, I'm stealing this and I'm running with it because it's so good. I will give you credit.
I was just gonna say, just tag me in your post, but
I'll tag you, don't worry. But they are your new COIs. Don't let your website sit passively. There's a new way, and it is really the only way moving forward if you actually look at your website as a growth tool, which I would assume most of us do. You need to connect search, trust, conversion. Don't bury social proof. Multiply your reviews. Share them in as many platforms as you can, especially WealthTender, because we are the leading tool that shows up in AI when people are looking for advisors and reviews are being considered. Use your reviews in places where prospects are making those decisions, like LLMs, but also your website and your marketing materials or any other place. We have a whole article on that we can help you out with. There's 20 different ways to use your reviews. Think about both firm level and advisor level discoverability. It's not just about the reviews your firm has, it's about what people say about you as well, because that is how a lot of people actually search. And treat your website as part of the prospect journey. It's not just a digital brochure. And before we open up to the question section, I will also share, there's 2 different things you can do right now. If you want to get started with WealthTender and online reviews, feel free to scan this QR code. We'll also drop something in the chat now. Brian, if you want to maybe help me out with that, that you can just easily click on. If you sign up today, we can have your profile ready for you as soon as tomorrow. And we'll give you our testimonial marketing playbook, which is literally the step-by-step guide with templates and communications that you can take, send to your clients, and get those reviews rolling in. And there's so many fun ways to do that. Like, maybe it's your birthday or it's your company's anniversary. And instead of a gift, you're asking your clients for their written experience in exchange. So again, it takes about 2 minutes to sign up. Feel free to scan the QR code or use the link in the chat. And then we have WealthReach. So what are you guys offering here? It sounds exciting. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, and this actually leads to a question that Nick put in. Can you build a site for an advisor who's a part of a firm where the firm does not want to update their site but would like to optimize for your own personal page? So I assume it's the same domain, it's a separate page, specifically that you're highlighted on. The short answer is no. We would need their approval Of course, but what I would invite you to do is either scan that QR code, click on the link that I just put in there, and or just email me directly with the firm's URL. And what we can do leading back to this QR code is we can run an audit on the firm's website and just let the audit do the talking for them. It's almost like going to the doctor and getting your blood panel back and everything being out of whack. You tend to be motivated to fix that. This is very similar where we give a grade, we go through detail, we give recommendations, and as I mentioned before, they're custom sites, but for legacy provider pricing. So from a pricing perspective, it's not overly prohibitive. And then for Maria, your question, do you always redo websites when you work with new clients, or can you work with an existing site? We can work with an existing site in one of two ways. One is if your audit comes back and there needs some fixing, we'd want to clone it so it will look identical, but we'll move it over to us so that we can fix the technical foundation and then plug in that tool Attract that Mike shared to create more content on an ongoing basis. So that's option number one. Option number two, if your audit comes back great and you don't want to clone it, you don't want to do a redesign, we can plug Attract into a WordPress website or whatever content management system, CMS that you're on. And then the other option is if it's broken, so to speak, but you want to take the audit and give it to whoever built the website and have them fix it and then plug in our tool Attract as well. That is an option also. So what I would invite you to do if you're on this call and you're not sure, or let me put it this way, if you haven't gotten more than 5 leads directly through your website in the last few months, scan the QR code, click the link, run your website audit. Our team will share that with you so that at least you can understand why that is. And then from there, we're obviously happy to help fix it. But the first step is just first really seeing if it's an issue. And if you haven't gotten more than 5 leads from your website in the last few months, it most certainly is.
You need to scan. Yes. Thank you for that. And we do have another question. I know, Brian, you want to touch on that. I will also add, we are very big fans of Brent Carnduff. He is with Advisor Rankings. He's a partner to all of us here. He's an SEO expert. And we actually have a webinar we're hosting with him on July 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to choose a couple of advisors in advance to run an AI SEO audit on as well. And even if, I suggest that you reach out to Wealth Reach, have your own audit done personally one-on-one. But even coming to that session and just hearing like how we're looking at other advisor websites should also be pretty helpful to you. So I'm going to go ahead and just send that through the chat. It's a registration link if you'd like to join us. But going back to a question that we have from Colin, and I'll kind of come back to this page because this is going to be a little more wealth tender focus. What does the testimonial request process look like? How do you ask and make sure you get something back that you can use, like keeping someone from talking about returns or specifics, etc.? Brian, do you want to touch on this?
Absolutely. And thanks for the question, Colin. It's a really good one. I put a link in the chat for everybody as well that is a resource we've published on the topic. But a couple of things that I would start with, one, naturally, this gets back to some of the challenges with a platform like Google, where once that review is there, it's going to be really hard to change a review or request a modification, given the fact that Google is Google. On Wealth Tender, when the reviews come in, you do always retain compliance controls. So if you need to modify a review, you have the ability to do that through a process that incorporates record keeping for compliance purposes. So you can't just go in and change a review to whatever you want without everything being documented as to why. But if there is promissory language or prohibited content, you have the ability to take an otherwise very thoughtful review and extract the perhaps sentence that maybe is problematic. Now, more specifically to the question, Colin, how can you maybe steer people from writing reviews that touch on those third rail type areas? Fortunately, what we've seen, and we did a study last year, over 90% of reviews that people are writing unprompted are about the emotional side of the relationship with the advisor. So it's really not that frequent that we see reviews even going in the direction of investments. People are talking about how you've instilled confidence in their ability to comfortably retire, or helping them achieve a particular goal, if it was education funding to cover the cost of education for their children, whatever the case may be. Now, with that said, you do want to be careful, but you could couch, and I'll use that very lightly, your clients when inviting them to write a review, to simply let them know, thank you for being a valued client of our firm. We'd love your feedback and help other people decide if we may be a good fit to work with them as well. Here's a link where you could take a few minutes to share a little bit about your experience. And if you don't mind, we are in a highly regulated industry where, unfortunately, or maybe not using unfortunately, but we're not able to publish reviews that talk about investments or performance. You could add that type of language. I'm of the opinion, personally, to probably just steer clear, because as soon as you plant that seed, their head's going somewhere where, if you don't mention investments and performance, very likely, as we've seen with all of the reviews that do come in, naturally people are already going to go to those areas that aren't likely to be a compliance risk. But know that if the review does come in and have language that needs to be addressed, on Wealth Tender, you always have the tools to be able to address those.
They want to talk about you. They want to talk about their relationship with you and how you've made them feel, not necessarily what you've achieved from that for them from a performance standpoint, because that is part of that, but it's the outcome, which is, again, how you've made them feel and how they've grown through the partnership with you. So we've seen thousands and thousands of client reviews for advisors, and we can say this with great confidence, and we published a whole study about it, as Brian said. All right, we are getting to the top of the hour. So if you have any more questions, if there's something that's just, maybe still needs clarity for you, or maybe that's bothering you, or you have a really personal question about your own marketing, landscape right now for your firm, you've got 4 pretty savvy marketers, past financial advisors here on the call. I'm married to a financial advisor. This is our world. This is your chance to ask. And if not, we'll wrap up. I'll maybe showcase this next slide one more time for anyone who was interested in booking a free website audit with WealthReach. The guys also dropped some links in the chat where you can book a one-on-one call, where you can get your website audit, where you can learn more. David, Mike, Brian, any parting thoughts here before we go? I don't see any other questions coming in.
Well, I'll just throw out, it's more of a comment and congratulatory for Mike and David, because to me, this really feels like a blockbuster moment for traditional website providers, and Netflix just came along and said, hold my beer, So congratulations, guys. It's incredible to see what you're doing and just the transformation that this is going to have for our industry, and importantly for the advisory firms and the advisors that we serve, who are going to be of such great benefit having the living sites as part of their platform.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Diana. This was a blast. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's cool to see our paths cross multiple times. Brian, I don't know how many years we've known each other, but it's cool to finally, be breaking the ice together with, doing a series of webinars and all the support, and, Diana, in your role. I feel like I've been seeing you on the weekly lately, so it's always a pleasure. So I appreciate you.
It definitely is. It's such a pleasure. We really enjoy getting to collaborate with you guys. We're big fans. We'll continue to advocate for what you're building. We appreciate you advocating for Wealth Tender and what we've built and worked so hard on over the years. And it looks like we got one more question here. So there's 2 components to this strategy: get a new website and then integrate with Wealth Tender.
Yes, mic
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll chime in. In my opinion, I would say first and foremost, get your house in order. Focus on your website. That ultimately is where people are going to come before they pull that trigger and ultimately choose to become a client. And truly is, I feel, revolutionary what David and Mike are doing. So start there, and then separate yourself from the other 90% of advisors by getting the reviews, coming aboard Wealth Tender, and that would be the 1-2 punch that I would recommend.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, thank you, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, a wonderful 4th of July that's coming up next weekend, and we will catch you on our next webinar. Thanks, everyone, so much.
Thanks, everybody.